There I was, up to my knees in caribou dung, surrounded by 1,000 Mbatsu tribeswomen naked to the waist. Jeremy went out to attack these Bantu women while I stayed in the chopper safely and ate kind of a brie cheese with some crackers that were served at that time by the host.
Welcome to the edge of nowhere. They're playing games at the edges of what we know. Monster Lore Tour Podcast. Alright, hello everybody and welcome to Side Trail 66 of the Monster Lore Tour Paranormal Deep Dives from the Edge of Nowhere podcast. I'm your host Jeremy Carr, here ready to get my kicks with my co-host and the guy who now knows way too much about owls.
Yeah.
Mr. Matt Ozero. Oh, I'm just supposed to call you the Moz in this one.
AKA?
The Moz. AKA the Moz.
AKA the owl, yeah.
Owl
and wolf.
I forget which opening I'm doing sometimes.
Yeah.
How we doing, Moz?
Well, doing the closing. In conclusion.
Yes, we like to finish at the...
Yeah.
We like to start at the end and then work our way back.
Yeah. Only
it's like
the
Merlin.
beginning. Yeah.
Merlin's secret was he actually moved backwards through time.
Yeah.
He wasn't four-dimensional, but he was going the wrong way through the loaf.
Yeah.
So he knew everything that was going to happen. He just didn't know what had already happened. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting take on the world right there.
That's the way to do it.
It's like, I don't know how you got here, but you're going to win this battle. I can tell you that much because I just saw it.
I just saw it. I know where they come from. I know what shows up and where.
You know, so we are here to finally fully put a ribbon on the Owl Week stuff.
Yep.
At least for now.
For now. Honestly, we didn't get to everything we wanted.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of tangents that are going to grow out of this circle that we just ran.
Yeah.
But we do have a number of points, some things we mentioned in the episode, some stuff Moz didn't get a chance to get to, even with all those episodes.
I know. 6 is not enough.
So where do you want to start here, Moz?
Well, one thing we talked about last episode, I said I put a pin on it because it was something that we didn't get to, is owl intelligence. Owl studies are lacking, but initial owl studies are showing they are deficient in some ways compared to pigeons or crows or other birds seem to excel above them. But they think the owl is more geared towards their social creatures, and they really don't have enough tests yet. But basically, more needs to be tested. It is an unknown. And again, that ties into the mystique of the creature. It is not as studied as many other birds. It remains an unknown. People tend to avoid the owl, as we talked about. And it seems like science, there's a gap in knowledge as well.
Yeah, I forget where in the Owl series here we talked about it specifically, but I recall a conversation about how it's almost like we have a subconscious block where we just don't want to deal with the owl. We don't want to deal with it.
It's so linked to death on some level, and we fear it on some archetypal level, and we ignore it. And even when we have the perfect owl monster, we call it Mothman. Same idea.
They move freely between the worlds, it seems, because, you talk about the light and dark aspect. There's the light realm and the dark realm. Yeah. The light goes up, the dark goes down. Yeah. It's not necessarily good and bad at all. It's just different realms.
Right.
In most things, they either go up or down. The fish goes down, the eagle goes up. You're either in the air or the water on the land. Mm-hmm. The owl,
underworld and upperworld,
is a flying animal
that connected more to the underworld,
but it's a dark totem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it is the one that goes between the worlds. Like if any of these totem type creatures we're talking about, and this portal guardians, as they're referred to here a lot, if any of them stand out to me as the Charon that crosses the river Styx, like that can move freely between these realms, it's the owl.
Seems like it. And also we want to talk about in between. We talked about it being a marker for an event. Back to Clellan's work. It's a marker between normal waking consciousness and some kind of a mystical UFO experience on the front end or the back end, where you see an owl at the beginning or the end of these things, segueing you back. It's in between states as just a marker, as a schema that gets kind of implanted in people's brains. If you heard the episode, that makes sense, theoretically.
Right. Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around all of it, honestly, myself.
No, you do better than I would. I mean, it's actually trying to explain very, very abstract concepts. But I think, like I said, we'll see, if we get any feedback or reaction to it. But it seemed like it was something that, got a sliver of a different idea about this concept for sure. I can potentially add it to the discussion.
You can, the Patreon's open to the public. You can go on and comment on there. That's actually kind of the best place to do it. Patreon.com/MonsterLoreTour. We have all the episodes on there. When they go public on the other platforms, that they become public, not just for members on the Patreon as well. And that's really the best place if you want to let us know if we missed anything, or if you got any follow-up questions or things like that. That's a great place to do it. Or you can just email us at monsterloretour@gmail.com.
And the other loose end there was the Cisco piece. We had one piece I said we'd just shift aside for time's sake, because we were discussing an S-File, and Cisco's kind of an S-File because he's your roommate.
Friend
of
the podcast.
Podcast. But we were running out of room, frankly, for all this stuff anyway. So this is Back to 420 to Yuma episode, where Cisco...
Episode 53.
There you go. Which is, he's kind of stalked by a hellhound. Kind of this dog is stalking him. He is deep into drugs at this time of his life. He needs some changes. It culminates in this dream of this wolf kind of bursting through a window in his room. He wakes up just scared to death, and other people saw this dog stalking him. So you see it in real life, and then he has this culminating dream of this thing smashing through the window, and he says, "I got to change my life." He wakes up like scared straight almost, and he does put down the hard drugs.
Right.
And he does turn his life around.
Yeah, it was a very Portal Guardian type moment, beating the big boss, as we said in the episode.
Yeah.
One of those moments,
he
he faced the big boss and won, and came out good on the other side.
And there was a similar account on Clellan's work here. Here's part, this is from Lauren's account, from Mike Clellan's, The Messenger's Owl, Synchronicity, and the UFO Abductee. Quote, "I was in a very dark place in my life when mushrooms and consequently owls entered into the picture. The owl I saw during that first trip was flying, and it seemed to fly into my head, and I emerged later a changed person. Some would say that the owl and the other visions that followed were some part of my unconscious mind, but no, the owl was something outside of me, some power that came to me and helped me. I am sure of that."
Yes.
So I'm reasonably sure that that's, a nicer version of this scared straight moment. I think, Cisco's was very intense situation. This was a better, using psilocybin, using owls to kind of have these kind of life changes. But it seems, again, a lot of people have these.
Right, and that's the thing, that's the vibrational thing. And the psilocybin actually changes the wavelength of your thought patterns. Like it readjusts your thought pattern.
Yeah.
That's how it works as an antidepressant.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that, it would be helpful in situations like that as well. I think that's ties into the shamanic aspect of the whole thing.
And in a dark place, but not as in a dark place. When we talked about, you bring to these experiences where you're at in your own levels. So there's ones that are just wake-up calls and mystical and wonderful, and ones that are in the middle, a little scary, but scared straighty. And then there's just horrific moments.
Right.
And I think Cisco's was one of the darker ones you come across. It was a very dark thing that he was scared straight and made those changes.
He says he was, and he told the story. He was very open, forthright about it. He was working his way down a dark road, and he got to a spot where it was, he was at the crossroads. He was make a choice which way, because this is the one that's going to determine where your life goes. And the dog was following him around, and then he has the dream. But this brings me to a point we talked about a little bit in the episode, I think, is we may actually, that there's the concept of we manifest our own monsters, like it's all in your head aspect of that, but then they become real. We talked about that. But I think I touched upon the portals thing, where we actually create the portal through which the monster comes. I think Cisco's story is a good example of this in my mind, because he saw that he was in a dark place, and he knew he was coming up. He was going to have to make a decision about how he wanted his life to be. And he's the one that had the dream. I think in the dream, the Wolf of the East is out his eastern window, but he created that portal. He created that window in his dream for the wolf to be at. And then the wolf came through the portal. Mm-hmm. He didn't the wolf was, beyond his reckoning, but he created the portal for the monster to come through so he could face the monster and see which way he was going to go. And thankfully he went the right way.
Yeah. And I did think about that, because that was something we did move to the side trail about the portal piece. And I, at the time, said, I think, but I wasn't sure. So I thought about it a little bit. And to tie it into the last episode, exactly kind of what you're saying, though, but if you have the psychoid layer, if it's the canvas, if it's everything, if it's all, you're creating that portal, that hole from which this updraft of unconscious material flows in. So you are creating this kind of area, that's this connection, that things kind of bubble up through the unconscious into the conscious realm. So it is saying the same thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You're creating the space and the availability for that to happen. And what pours through that a lot of times is either angels or demons, Ishtarakshas or Ishtadevas, or UFOs and owls, as we said, as kind of flip sides of the mandala of life and death, that last portal before enlightenment.
Right.
And in some ways, those situations are, again, if you talk about Big Boss, Cisco was meeting the Big Boss just to get to the level of humanity where he was losing his humanity.
Yeah, he was trying to get back around to the first one because he was going backwards.
Right, a different level. And the one about the owls and UFOs tend to be people who are seeking mystically or trying to figure out the symbolic piece between life and death, and that's the transpersonal bands between maybe our last stage and enlightenment. And it's, so that's kind of the end game. So if you're having those things, possibility is that these are good portents, that these are things you're wrestling with, and as soon as you can integrate the light and the dark, the owl and the UFO, you have that opportunity for some type of real integration and merger and enlightened kind of consciousness level-wise.
When you reach the stage where you can see the whole loaf at once and realize it's all one thing.
Right. And the loaf tied into the number, tied into the slice. And we talked about that during the episode, that the numbers are kind of permeating this whole thing. The loaves or slices are permeating the whole thing. And unity consciousness is about getting back to that, away from the linear time and back into that cyclic or one time as almost meaningless, beyond space-time.
We're each designated a consciousness serial number when we get born.
Yeah. There you go.
We have our own little number in the wavelength, our own collapsed spot of the waveform.
Our monster and security number. Yep. I like it. Yeah, but we didn't get to all of our things yet, and I just wanted to add a couple. The S-Files was so long that, the one thing I wanted to say, and I didn't write it down and I didn't even edit in the S-Files, is we were editing one day and I'm staring at the brown part, the dead part of the palms of the palm tree. The deadened browns had a bunch of a different look than the greens, obviously. And I'm just staring at this thing. And as we're listening to one of our podcasts, not an owl one, but we're listening to a podcast that we're going through, an owl face and not just like this kind of pareidolia looks like. It really was like the sailboat all of a sudden popped, and it was just
came into focus.
It came into focus as just an owl. It looked like a great horned owl. You could see all of its features. It wasn't a pattern that you say, well, that kind of looks like it could be an owl. No, this was like an owl popping through the palm, and I had been staring at this. And it did remind me of, mall rats. We were staring at the sail. All of a sudden, the sailboat comes out.
The old 3D hidden picture thing.
Yeah, because I'm staring at this, and all of a sudden, bam, And I was debating about not even telling you because I didn't know how you were going to see this. You did seem to see a little bit of owly looking in it.
I definitely didn't get it like you did, but when you were like, does that kind of look like an owl face in that tree? I looked at it and I was like, I can totally see how that would be. Yeah. So like even without
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
it kind of was there to begin with. You just kind of found the details.
I found that this all of a sudden this thing popped for me, and it was in a bizarre way. And we even danced to an owl during one editing session where the door was open and we walked
was looking
out,
at
and
us.
the owl had landed back on that wall, and it just started bobbing its head. So we started dancing, like kind of just doing this dance, and it's dancing. We didn't even tell that story. Like that's, but and I just wanted to reiterate for those who missed it, if you want, go back and listen. But we have just heard so many owls in the last 6 months, and I wanted to even reiterate. The last 72 hours or so, you were in 2 places in Arizona. One you stopped just for a break, and then here, and you did hear owls at both places.
Both sides,
the one stop where you took a deep breath and looked out over the desert, you hear 2 hoots. You get here, that first night you hear hoots. I went camping in a place I never heard an owl a couple months ago. The owl's there. Owls at my house. I come here. We've never heard owls. I was assailed by owls when everyone finally left. But I do have validation that people heard it before that they left. And you heard it upon the return of some of the folks. But while I was alone, 4 owls showed up. And again, the 3ing of the 4, the 4ing of the 3, the circling of the square. Yeah. It's very interesting to me that these numbers, these synchronicities, no UFOs yet. That piece of it has not emerged. And again, we get a psychic reading that we are both very dark, and there's dark totems and there's light totems, but we do have a dark component. Well, both of us got a lecture from our INFJ person, basically.
And I take to heart whatever comes out of someone like that. But I mean, of course we have a dark side. We started a podcast called Monster Lore Tour. Like, don't we? I mean, we kind of inherently need a dark side for that, don't we?
Yeah, and I think that was some of my concern, trying to step away from that and actually doing it. We've discussed that I was concerned a little bit about staring into the abyss, and that you don't want to wallow in it like we talked about.
Well, that's the thing is, without the podcast, we'd be wallowing. Mm-hmm. You know, that if you do have that dark side, if you have you got that little demon in you kind of thing, it's better to face it and channel it into a good thing. Yeah. You know, we're channeling that energy, that dark energy that we manifest in ourselves sometimes into this podcast in a way that, is educational and entertaining and all the things we're going for with it, both for us and hopefully the people listening. So, it's all intent. I mean, this is something I keep coming back around to in various episodes, but a lot of this stuff, it's not what you have, it's how you use it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I think everybody has a dark side, some more pronounced than others. Some go a little deeper into the darkness than others, but most people feed the good side. So the dark side never really has a chance to take over in any capacity.
I disagree with you.
I
actually disagree with you on that.
That most people don't.
I think they don't. I think they ignore their dark side. They don't even want to look. People ignore their shadow at their peril. And I don't think there's many people who have examined lives, which I've been doing this for a while and trying to have an examined life, and it's actually a lot of work.
It is.
And other people don't take the work. They just think, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm good. I haven't killed anyone lately. I'm good." And I think it's a little bit more to that. And looking around to find the meaning in things and these patterns that no one thinks is all that important. So I don't agree. I think people are ignorers. I think they're playing video games and streaming Hulu. Yeah. I'm not that impressed with humanity at this time.
That's probably true. Most people don't take the time to really understand themselves on that level, and really know where they're at with themselves on that level. I agree with you on that part. That most people probably just don't ever take the time.
The road from hate to love is full of potholes. It's very meandering. It takes a lot of work, and we wanted to start in the dark and move to the light, and you started that comment on our first episode, I think, during the
long
intro.
road from hate to love.
The long road, and that's what we're trying to do.
We are now 66 steps along the way with 66 episodes of this podcast.
But we got almost sent back to go back to go or whatever, because we had an INFJ say no. Like it was a moment where you guys are still dark. And
Yeah.
I need to talk to you, and I need to talk to him separately, staying after class. And it was.
She can talk to me all she wants on the microphone for this podcast.
There you go. There you go. I'll let her know that.
I will put it out to the public.
Before you do it, though, nothing happened the last 48 hours. He's been sitting out in a hammock. We should update you on that.
That's true. I slept out in the hammock, same spot as the lost time incident.
Didn't even hear any
the last
owls.
2 nights, and yeah, it was all.
And
good.
I heard owls just before he went out the first night. You went out and they left.
I heard some weird animal noises.
I heard it too.
Right when I was setting up my hammock the first night.
Like a wah!
Yeah, like I don't know what it was.
It was a bird, but it was
some kind of weird sounding
screechy bird. It wasn't an owl.
No, definitely not an owl, but I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Is that earthly?
Yeah.
Is that an earthly animal I'm hearing right now?
Yeah, no, it was strange. And we heard tons of yippy coyotes.
The coyotes are everywhere here, though. Yeah. They're always here.
Yeah. And there's more here than just about anywhere I've been.
So the one real difference in the sleeping out in the hammock this time as opposed to the lost time, the lost time happened on the night of a funeral.
Yep. Yeah.
And I mean, we talked again just now in the side trail about how the owl is really the death portent, goes between the realms and stuff. So I honestly think it's tied more to that than anything.
So what I'm curious about, and I don't know the answer to this, and I don't even know if I have a guess, but the things have ramped up for owls as I'm preparing a 6-week owl extravaganza. I do not know why this happened. I cannot explain it. We talked about it extensively in the last episode or two.
And your place that we keep seeing the owls, been there for years, right?
Yeah, a few years.
You've never seen owls like that.
I've seen they're around, but I've never.
Nothing
only
like
at
that.
corner of your eye. You catch a little hoot. The hoots are actually all the time. You don't see them,
but you
very
don't see them
often.
dancing around in your patio and swooping over our heads while we're working.
It's kind of ramped up to some kind of and then everywhere I go, I'm hearing owls, which doesn't make any sense to me either.
I just wanted to clarify that it's not a common thing in that spot for that to happen.
No, and even the swoop down and then I find 2 feathers a couple weeks ago, that doesn't make any sense.
That's pretty wild
to me either. But again, I find out I'm a totem. I get an offering of feathers. All this is good. I'm taking this as something that I got to work on and I got to use and incorporate and move forward. But at the same time, I don't know if we're just borrowing some energy from Mike Clellan because we read his book and we're doing all this stuff, or if it's going to continue. Now, I think because I've been told I'm an owl totem, I'm not so sure this is a portal that's going to close again. I think it might be open, and we'll have to see. But I'm also not sure. We put a lot of energy into these 6 weeks, and I started a year ago reading about owls. So in some ways, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be. We'll keep you posted.
Is there free will? Is it a thing?
Or do
we just do what we're destined to do?
Yeah.
But different ways of looking at it. But you may have ended up on this owl road because you are an owl totem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think I even made this very clear last time. I don't think, and I told it to you, I don't think I said it on microphone yet. Yeah. I don't think I would have heard that piece about she dreams about owls when I'm around. I don't think she ever would have told me that if I hadn't happened to talk about owls.
Exactly.
Because she turned around and said, "What do owls mean to you?" And I all of a sudden knew that was an ominous moment. I'm like, oh no, what? Well, wait, what?
Yeah.
So something's going wrong here.
And the fact that the owls in her dreams when you're around, it's you and the owls are shedding their feathers.
Well, they're half human, half owl hybrids with very few feathers. On the forearm in particular is what she noticed, and she said they were very creepy.
Which makes me wonder, are you a star child, Moz?
Yeah. Well, and we know I'm a star. We know I'm still very childlike. So, yeah.
Definitely child.
Yeah.
I got that part covered for you.
It's true. But I would like to start seeing some luminous balls of light. We'd like a little bit of this love to enter at this particular time, and we will keep you all posted if the owls start to show up when I'm camping more, or if it starts to dissipate again as we start to move on towards rakes and Bigfoots.
It will seem, or it will be interesting to see if it continues. Now that you're going to move on to other topics, you're going to stop thinking about it so much. Your research for this is done, at least for the foreseeable future.
Well, I'm doing a 6-part episode now on Jessica Alba, and hoping Yeah.
Because she's monstrously hot.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I have lots of terrible ideas. I'm still on the dark road. We're working on it. Work in progress.
Well, we started in the deepest darkness, and we're working towards the light.
Yeah.
You know, the hate will be left behind as we go.
That's
you know,
true.
We shed it one piece at a time. You got to learn about the evil so that you know how to shed the evil.
No argument. You got to shine the light of consciousness on those bad boys and see what scatters around and flops away. And yep, that's the plan, dude. That's all I got today.
All right. Well, I guess we'll leave it at that then. Thanks everybody for following along with this giant owl saga that we just got through here. Appreciate the attention, and hopefully you appreciate the work that Moz went through. That's a lot of work Moz did for that, man.
A lot of fun.
Appreciate you, Moz. I'm going to give you some Mad Cujos. Mad Cujos for Moz. Down boy! Glad I remembered that.
Hey, I have a buddy who has some land up in the Uintas that there's supposed to be a very haunted ranch when we moved to Salt Lake City. Yeah, it's called the Skin
Walker
Ranch.
You know those guys?
No.
Doesn't the government own that?
No, I think that guy.
Some agency bought it.
If you watch the show, it's that business guy who owns that property.
Oh,
and choppers
yeah,
in
there you
the
go.
end
There
of
you
the
go.
show to get the updates.
Right.
Whatever his
It's
name
become
is.
like a unofficial lab.
Yeah.
That place. It's weird.
Very interesting show.
I'm actually going to do, coming up here real shortly, I'm going to be doing an episode on the Arizona version of that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think it's
Very exciting.
I think it's the very next episode if I remember my scheduling right. So
Sweet.
that'll be coming up soon.
Yep.
Little teaser there for you. The Arizona version of Skin
Walker
Ranch and all the things that come with that. It'll be pretty interesting. It's going to be one of my local shout outs. You know, we're going to do a very northern Arizona episode here.
We got to go there.
But but we're getting out of here for now. You got anything to add or subvert to all this madness, Malls?
We got to go there.
Let's go there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sedona and then Salt Lake City.
I don't know how open to the public and stuff it is these days, but I'll figure it out in my research here pretty quick.
Yeah. Find your contact.
Yeah. Uber ride.
There you go.
Yeah. With any luck, I will pick her up again.
There you go.
'Cause that's the only way that's going to happen. But I'll remember if I pick her up again. That's the great thing about Flagstaff is you actually pick up everybody again at some point because it's still a small enough town for that.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for coming. Don't forget to jump into the patreon.com/monsterlore tour. Leave us some comments and stuff in there. You can join for just $1 a month to get early access to all these episodes and side trails and all that. And if you can just take a quick second before you jump off to hit those happy little fun buttons, whatever platform you are on at the moment, that likes and subscribes and shares and things like that, we'd really appreciate it. And I will let you go on that. To all my fellow paranerdalists out there, stay groovy, baby. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Side Trail 67 of the Monster Lore Tour Paranormal Deep Dives from the Edge of Nowhere podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Carr, here along with my co-host and the guy that moves between the realms, the Moz. How we doing, Moz?
I'm moving.
Between the realms?
Yeah, that's what I do, apparently.
It's
well
been
done. It's true. I think it's true what you say.
It's been a long day, and we've each had an extra beer, so we might be a little bit in between the realms at this point.
It's also a long way to rock if you want to. No, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this side trail grew directly out of the episode. As I was writing, the episode kept getting too long over and over again, so I ended up basically pulling 3 different segments from the episode to build this side trail. We're going to go through the overall history of the Sedona landscape, going way, way back and working up to present to show how one of the most unique and beautiful landscapes in the world formed. Then we're going to get into those personal stories we were talking about from my tour guide days, and the S-File Moz and I share all about the Sedona Vortex sites and some pretty cool experiences some people have had there.
Yeah, and you have stuff that only someone that had...
I have a story that you will literally hear nowhere else from someone I took on a tour who had a really cool vortex story.
There you go.
some inside information on a not so happy event around the vortexes. We're going to go through a whole spectrum of things, but yeah, it's all from firsthand knowledge that I gathered in my days as a taxi driver / tour guide in the area.
Nice.
It's amazing the stories you can get from people in that capacity.
Did you ever drop anyone off at Midgley Bridge and they didn't want to ride back?
No, I wouldn't have done that. No.
You would have figured that one out.
Yeah,
8
I know
p.m.
what's going
just drop me off at Midgley Bridge.
Yeah. But so let's begin our side trail proper by taking a closer look at the place we do call Sedona, Arizona. So firstly, there is the world-famous landscape of Sedona with its unearthly red rock outcroppings and hoodoos.
That you do so well.
Yeah, but it took eons and ages and epochs of time for the Earth to create this most unique of places. We're going to start all the way back in what is known as the Pennsylvanian period of the Paleozoic era, which ranges from about 310 million to 290 million years ago.
Is this my undergraduate work again? We talked about this.
Around 300 million years ago.
Yeah.
During this time, the area that is now the Arizona desert was covered by a shallow inland ocean. This is going back all the way to the days of Pangaea, on which what is now Arizona was located near the northwest corner of the supercontinent. Some 50-ish million years later, and through most of the age of the dinosaurs, this ocean bottom was exposed and became a tropical wetland region with vast swaths of swamp and rainforest. During this time, it was home to humongous Triassic period trees that would grow to heights of close to 200 feet, or around 60 meters. Because of the abundance of sandy wetlands during this period, when Arizona became Arizona, it was full of fossilized dinosaurs and their tracks, as well as veritable forests of petrified wood.
Nice.
That's where all that came from. As ages passed and Pangaea broke apart, the environment in the area, of course, began to change, slowly morphing over time as the continents shifted across the globe shifted on its axis, and the moon got a little farther away. The wetlands gave way to grasslands, and come the end of the Ice Age, this area was a grassland that received about 4 times more annual rainfall than the deserts of Arizona do now. So it was pretty lush.
Sus, as you could call it from the last
It was
episode.
sussy lush.
Sus.
Lushy sus.
Can I interject something really quick?
Sure. Recently,
There was and I'll have to maybe get the link, but they think they found monster tracks from a dinosaur when Pangaea was Pangaea. When it broke apart, they actually think they matched up from an African trail to a South American trail. When they put it together, it looks like the same track.
Oh, wow.
Maybe, perhaps. That they're like, it's kind of where it should be. It looks like the same.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So those two, they know exactly where those 2 points connected back then.
Yeah, they're like, it looks like the same tracks. And now they are on other continents, encased in stone.
Yeah.
And,
have you heard of the place in Arizona where they found the human print next to the dinosaur print fossilized in the same dirt?
Correct. And again, one of those almost Graham Hancockian things that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
But we're finding so many of these things now. It's not just what he talked about. There's more of these examples of what was going on 400,000 years ago or I don't know. I wasn't there.
It's one of those cases of the more you learn, the less you know.
Yeah. But I feel like, my theory is that it was one dinosaur that was cut in half at that point. I have my own.
Are you doing a Nahul Guano right now, Moss?
Yeah, maybe.
But anywho, so we're back in ancient Arizona, end of the Ice Age, lushy grassland, okay?
And for Wolfman Puck, I'm making Spamgia.
Ooh.
You fry it up, a little cheese.
With some eggs and,
there you
and
go.
some rice.
No rice.
No rice.
You lost me on that. Okay.
I just always think Hawaiian cuisine when I think Spam. It's the only place I've ever seen where Spam's on the menu everywhere. It's Hawaii.
Wow, because they can get that there.
Yeah, because it's one thing you can actually eat cheap there.
Yeah.
But with the end of the Ice Age, when we have the lushy grasslands here in what is now the desert, came climbing global temperatures, which began to slowly dry out the lush grasslands. On top of that, to the region of northern Arizona, there came volcanoes. The Mogollon Rim of northern Arizona, where sits our Flagstaff headquarters, is located on the southeastern reaches of one of the largest volcanic fields on the planet. There are over 600 individual volcanoes within this field, representing every type of earthly volcano known to man. The most recent of the volcanic eruptions within this field took place just outside of Flagstaff at a place now known as Sunset Crater. I'm sure you're familiar, Maz.
Yep.
This eruption is right around 1,000 years old at this point and was a great surprise to the people who were living there at the time.
Yeah.
Which is how we actually have a solid estimate for the age of the event, because it's not that old, and there were people there when it happened.
The trailer park was totally decimated, I hear.
The people living up over there had to run to Wapapaki to get out of the lava flow.
Yeah, at least don't eat pork.
Yeah, there you go. Good. The oldest eruption, so that's the most recent eruption, is just they dated it just over 1,000 years old at this point, I believe. The oldest eruption in the area that I'm aware of is the combo steam vent and cinder cone eruption site known as Red Mountain, which is dated at around 1 million years old. Huh? 1 million years old, Moz. Did you know that about
Red Mountain? But that's the big San Francisco peak eruption?
No, Red Mountain is the one that looks like Mars. You hike into the basin
up.
And
right.
Yeah. With all the birds living in the porous rock face. Really cool spot to go. So that's the oldest.
Right.
So you got from 1,000 years ago to 1 million years ago, pretty much is your range. And the biggest of the volcanic bangs in the area took place just north of what is now Flagstaff. This stratovolcano stood over 16,000 feet above sea level at its peak. And when it blew big.
Can I guess how long ago? Because I have just a guess.
I don't actually have a date because
there's disagreement. I can't find it.
There's disagreement.
I think it's like 100,000 years ago.
I've seen anything from 10,000 to 100,000.
Okay.
And like no one can actually really. It's weird.
It's weird. I can't find it either. I've tried.
Yeah. That's why I don't actually have a time on it. I just know it's the biggest boom that we had out of all these volcanoes.
Because if you live in that area, the volcanic basalt, chunks of it are everywhere. Yeah.
Get this. I have personally seen an enormous chunk of black obsidian. I'd approximate to be about the size of a city bus that came out of that volcano during that explosion, sticking up out of the ground in the shadow of the north face of the White Tank Mountains outside of what is now Verrado, Arizona. If you check the map, you'll see that puts this giant chunk of super heavy obsidian close to 200 miles from the mountain it was blown from.
Yeah.
That's one big bada boom, man. Big bada boom.
Yeah.
Big bada boom.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right? So you can see the field was quite active for quite some time before going dormant. That is an important qualifier for a volcanic field. Dormant.
Yeah.
Opposed to extinct, which would be the term for a volcanic field that has fully run its course and will produce no more volcanoes.
Right.
Dormant means the field is still tied into the magma system and is expected by geologists to, at some point in the future, produce more volcanoes.
Nice.
Keep that in mind when buying property on the Mogollon Rim.
Nice.
We don't know when and we don't know where, but at some point there's going to be a new volcano in northern Arizona.
But is it marching, if Sunset Crater went off, it's marching east?
Yeah, it might be closer to Winslow than Flagstaff, the next one.
Would be my guess.
Yeah,
Two guns.
It could be swinging north a little bit, too.
Loop.
Yeah, like out towards Loop or something, maybe, too. Yeah, Antelope Hills.
Nice.
Never know till it happens, though. Keeps you guessing. But through all this, from the shallows of the ocean to the shadows of the volcanoes, the otherworldly landscape of Sedona was taking shape. And as the iron dust from the volcanoes settled upon the sandstone hoodoos, the landscape gained its most distinctive feature. the Martian hue of the Sedona red rocks. I have heard more modern tales of the powers of the vortex energies. We talked about in the episode how the Yavapai put the legend way, way back. Like everyone who's ever lived there kind of knows about this power of the place. I'm going to start with a local legend of a man from some decades back. I believe the roots of this story was in the 1980s. Somebody showed me a newspaper clipping of this once.
Is this back to that Meteor 80s movie that I hated?
No, this is totally different. There was a man in the Sedona area diagnosed with terminal cancer. His doctors gave him weeks, maybe months to live, but certainly not years. Told him, like, there's nothing we can do for you kind of thing. But the man battled the disease with a diet of all natural foods and a regiment of long meditation sessions at the Boynton Canyon Vortex site.
There you go.
This site is actually a dual vortex with both feminine and masculine vortices. That is, it is a circular flow with a whirlpool maelstrom pulling in. It's a spout pushing out at the same area. So you almost get like this circular flow of energy. Mm-hmm. Every day, the man went and meditated at this site for hours. Every day for weeks. Then for months. Then for years. He died eventually, but not of the cancer that he was assured would kill him long before his days actually came to be done. He gave the credit for all his extra days to the healing powers of the vortex energy.
And that's the one.
I don't have a solid source for that story. It was another thing I got like in my tour guide days, just like the random bits you pick up along the way.
But it's a local story. It's a local legend.
It was definitely in some of the local papers back in the day. Mm-hmm. But at this point, it kind of has faded to an urban legend. And yeah, it's become part of the local oral tradition, basically.
Gotcha.
If you're really into the scene and you're in, like, physically in the area, you're probably going to hear about that at some point. It's one of those things. There is another story I was given directly by someone I brought on a tour to this same vortex site, the Boynton Canyon Vortex site. This was some years ago, probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
But this is the Kachina woman.
This is the Kachina woman and the warrior. The Kachina woman is the feminine. The warrior is the masculine.
And the Kachina woman's much bigger, if I remember.
Right. The Kachina woman's the big, tall, kind of spirey looking rock.
Yeah.
When looked at from the right angle, they say like you can see the woman with a papoose on her back kind of thing.
Right. You can see her holding a little Sasquatch child. No, wait, that's the other.
That's the picture in the book. And next to it, just like 20 yards away maybe, is another
There's
little
a big
outcropping.
Space. You can see the mountains through them.
Right.
It is like walking through.
There's a ridge
if you walk between the two, it's almost like a little...
But the warrior is like a shorter, stouter outcropping at the end of the ridge that the Kachina woman is part of.
Yeah, from the south, looking at it from the south.
I'm trying to remember. Yes, to the south, right.
Okay.
I had to remember my compass directions from there. So this tour was with a couple who had visited Sedona a few decades before as young adults, back before the tourist industry took over and the crowds arrived. And they were like kind of doing a memory lane sort of tour with me. You know what I mean? I took them to all the places they went the first time they were there all those years ago. So while sitting in the shadow of the Kachina woman at Boynton Canyon, the wife of the couple told me of the experience she had at this very place all those years ago, sitting in almost the exact spot. I'm going to tell you that story now to the best of my recollection. She sat quietly overlooking the silent valley, the shadow of the Kachina woman cooling her from the hike in under the midday Arizona sun. She breathed in the energy of the place and felt a peaceful wave wash over her. After some number of breaths, some uncounted minutes, she opened her eyes and saw circling in the sky before her a large eagle. A golden eagle, she thought. And as she watched the eagle slowly spiral on the upward thermal rising from the valley before her, she closed her eyes. She breathed. The eagle's cry rang in her ears, rang deep into her soul. She opened her eyes and was no longer sitting in the shadow of the Kachina woman, but she was flying next to the eagle, so close that they were staring into each other's eye, side by side, gliding on the upward thermal. She tried to speak, but heard only another eagle's cry. Overwhelmed, she closed her eyes and breathed once more. And when she again opened her eyes, she sat once again in the shadow of the Kachina woman, and she watched the eagle soar away out of the valley to places unknown.
Dang.
I mean, I was a little superfluous, but that's pretty much how she told it to me. Like, I got that story firsthand from that woman sitting in the spot where it happened. That was one of the coolest tours I ever did, let me tell you. And they actually came back
Did this
again.
happen because I know I'm trying to, I know this is where we had our experience. Was that before or after we had our experience?
Oh, this is a good ways after, yeah. We had ours, yeah.
Okay.
Ours was like, I was just trying to figure out the area so I could do tours. Like, I hadn't started doing tours yet when ours happened.
So we are the ones who like gave the energy for her to fly later. That's the way I see it.
Well, no, we got a small taste of something that she got a mouthful of back in the day.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, it is like, I mean, you got to flip it to be honest about it. But yeah, we got a small taste of what that woman got a big taste of.
Yes.
But for all the lore of the power of these energetic places, there has come a problem. This is why we only got a small taste. That of modernization and the touristification of the Sedona area. You see, for all the power that these places hold, there is a limit to the energy that can flow through these spots every day. When the visitors to these places were few and far between, there was plenty of renewing energy for those that came to seek benefit from this power. And you got a lot of stories about it from back in the day. But over the last few or couple decades, Sedona has become a world-famous tourist destination. And these vortex sites are overrun with massive crowds on a literal daily basis. According to many who frequent these areas and believe in the lore of their power, this overvisitation and usage of these places has disrupted their effect on the individual. Simply put, there just isn't enough energy to go around for all these visitors.
You just taught me something. I mean, keep going, but I have something to add at some point.
This has resulted in a precipitous drop-off in new stories of ultra-worldly experiences at these sites. You want to say something more?
Well, I've been to the specifically the airport loop one is the one I always take when someone's coming in from out of town. I take them there. Never felt anything. There are hundreds, dozens, always a lot of people climbing around that thing. What's great about it, it's central. You can take a lot of great pictures. It's a lot of bang for the buck.
Great place to watch the sunset.
I thought great way to get to the west side, the West Side Oak Creek Brewing Company.
Yep.
So for me, it's just part of that tour. But I've been there more than any other vortex of the rest combined. But now you're saying the reason is so many people are there, you're not going to get much out of it. There's only so much energy to go around.
The energy has been used up,
yeah.
So you're not getting the vibe of it anymore.
Right.
And I've been there, like over the last 15 years, I've been to these places many times, particularly during my, handful of years as a full-on tour guide in the area. And I really only have the one real, what I would call a vortex type experience.
Yeah.
It's far less impressive than the eagle story we just heard.
I understand.
But we do share it, Maz.
We do.
Which is cool.
Yes.
So this brings us to our us file. But then something happened. It happened to me. So this happened one day when Maz and I were hiking the Boynton Canyon Trail.
Yep.
In the shadow of the Kachina woman, just on the other side of it from where the whole eagle story took place. We were actually in the valley down below instead of up on the ridge.
But we were climbing up to the Kachina woman.
We were kind of skirting
underneath, yes.
Because there's some Anasazi ruins and stuff up the canyon, which we didn't actually go to because this weird stuff happened. But distracted us. But we took a side trail basically up the canyon to get away from the crowd.
Yeah.
That's specifically really why we went over there. And we found ourselves in the rare quiet place. And what I have now come to learn.
Place 2, 3, or day 1?
Day 1 was awesome.
Day 1.
But we did find ourselves in the rare quiet place with nobody around, right kind of in the center of a vortex area that I know now is one of the main portal areas as well. But do you want to describe for the listeners what we kind of experienced there, Moss?
Yeah, so we're skirting, and I do want to say the other piece of it is I've also been to the Bell Rock one, which is overrun with people. Nothing happened. Yeah. And I'd been living in this area for, I don't know, at that time, 10, 12 years, 10, at least a decade, maybe 11 at that time. I have no idea. And I've been to all these vortexes. I never felt anything. And I actually sat on these places for a long time to just try to meditate and see if I can get nothing. Nothing.
Same.
But I'd never been to this particular one. And the reason it's etched in my mind with the warrior and the kachina is because I was trying to, and I had already knew the direction we were looking because I see those rocks. It's the only time I'd been there. You brought me there as part of your event. And I was excited to go because that was the only place I'd never been. Every place else you brought me, I'd been already. But we were walking up, and I think you were ahead of me or alongside of me.
I was a little ahead.
Ahead of me. We stopped at the same time. We put our hands out because it just felt. And honestly, this is the beginning and the end of the story. It felt like we'd walked under a high power lines. It's the same feeling to me.
I felt a vibration in my bones. For me, because of my life, I almost felt like I was standing in front of Phil Lesh's speakers back in the day when he hit one of his lowest bass notes. Like my bones were vibrating, like there was a frequency going on too low for me to hear, but I could literally feel it in my bones.
But we both stopped at the same point. Our hands went out in the same way.
Yeah.
And it was almost for me, and I have to say it was a little different for me. It was more just walking under high power where I got the tingling in my arms. Yeah, I felt the static. But what was kind of bizarre, equally bizarre about that moment is that time did seem to stop for a second. Like we both stopped at the same time. And the reason I say that is because you were ahead of me and you didn't maybe see me, but we both stopped at the same time. Hands went out the same way. And then we're like buzzing with this. And again, there was no one around. We were the only ones there. And that's what resonates with me, not to mention the tingling sensation. But everywhere else I'd been, there were people everywhere.
Yeah.
We were alone there. And there was enough energy to actually feel it.
And after this whole episode we just did with Bradshaw Ranch and all that, Boynton Canyon is supposedly home to multiple portals. I'm wondering if we hit we were actually on like one of the epicenters.
Yeah.
That no one else had been on for a while. So the energy was actually built up enough for us to feel it.
Because you said we're not quite where the vortex is supposed to be. Because I asked you, is this where the vortex is? And you said, actually, I think it's over there. Like you kind of pointed.
Right.
Like it was more near the portal beings. And again, what I think about it is we've got portal beings. We've got a yin and a yang portal beings. We're there. It's the only one that relates to what we keep talking. The only reason I'm only figuring this out now because you just said this earlier in this side trail.
Okay.
We're standing at two portal being warriors, male and female, Kachina woman and the warrior. We're there at the portal, which we start talking about years later in a podcast as being a major theme is all these portals. That's where we have an experience.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Which is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
In every episode, a lot of my sub-theme is that this portal guardian thing keeps popping up. We're going to talk more about that, by the way. Maybe we haven't mentioned it. We've mentioned it a lot. We're going to mention it more. But I never realized that was the one that more closely matches what we talk about, as opposed to the other ones that do not, to my knowledge.
Which all feeds into the theory you dropped on us real quick in the episode that we received a download in that moment that led to this very podcast.
That was my aho guano. Yeah, my aho guanos. That was all down. We didn't really consciously recognize that.
It seems slightly less crazy now.
And everything's making
Just
sense.
slightly.
Everything's making sense.
Still crazy.
Yeah.
Still a hoolie. But maybe not so quantum-y after all.
But I mean, Cathedral Rock, same thing. Very popular. Yep. Everyone's there. Never feel anything.
Yep.
What were the other ones? West Fork, you said? And
so it's Airport Mesa.
That's the one I go to the most.
Boynton Canyon.
That's the one I went to once with
Bell
you.
Rock /
all the time.
Courthouse.
Nothing happens. Right off the road.
They say Chapel of the Holy Cross there. I didn't even know that was a Vortex site, honestly.
Yeah. They probably said that later.
The more obscure one. The
Christianized Vortex.
You know what it is? The one that you were like, I didn't even know about that one. The Red Canyon?
Yeah.
That's the Bradshaw Ranch Loy Butte portal site.
Okay.
Is Red Canyon. That's the Red Canyon one.
I've not been to that ever.
Because you can't, unless we go get ourselves a hefty 4-wheel drive, you can't get out there. And now it's on that lands that the government bought and then gave the private scientific lease to a university so that even though it's public land, no one is allowed to go there.
Yeah, the military owns it now, all the area around.
It's crazy how they can set it up like that, isn't it? Yeah. They make it public land, but then they make it so no one can go there.
Happy days.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but wow.
That is weird. That is weird. But I'm glad it ties in. That piece of it is it's an interesting moment we experienced together. And I would say it only lasted 5 or 6 seconds. I don't think it was that long.
Right.
But it was a bzzz. We're both like, our arms naturally went out. I mimicked you in the same way. And you turned back, and I'm like just doing the same thing as you. And you're like, what is happening right now?
I was just going to say that was because you could see me. I was like 5 steps in front of you, basically.
But it happened at the same time. We both.
I couldn't see. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. And then you look back, and I'm doing the same thing.
And it wasn't until after I was standing there a few seconds, I looked back, and you were, and
I'm like, Jeremy, is this part of the tour, man?
And that's when I was, did you feel that?
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah.
But to me, and it seems like you did get a deeper to the bone. I would say mine was more
that's
like
how I
walking
felt it.
Under a high power tension line.
Right.
And to me,
either way,
wouldn't even be able to tell a difference.
It's some kind of field.
Yes.
Whether it be electromagnetic or some kind of just waveform field, energy field that we were in.
And if you're looking around, there's just
that vibration, our bodies responded a little different because we're different people. But I think there was just a vibration, very distinct vibration, I think is what that really was.
No argument. But looking around, this couldn't be underground wire. There's nothing leading to anything else. There's nothing around. This is not far from downtown Sedona, but it's not close. We were alone in an area that's not remote, but fairly remote. Right.
The only actual development nearby is like the fanciest resort in Sedona, Enchantment Resort, which you literally can look down on while you're standing up on the ridge where the Kachina Woman and Warrior rock outcroppings are.
And they wouldn't have ran things up into that moment.
But their stuff goes under the road because where we are is protected wild lands. Like there's signs you are heading into the wilds. Like there's nothing out here. Bring your own water and all blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like you're heading into nothingness.
Yeah. Don't breathe in. Remember Patches the dog. Just that kind of thing.
That's when you go south.
Yeah. Oh, yes, Valley. Yeah.
Right. That's if you're digging in Phoenix.
This is High Plains Drifter country.
High Plains Drifter.
That's
there you go.
That's a good bit in the
Yeah. All right. So in the end, what we're getting from this is that
was Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
He's chasing him around the beach at the end.
At the end, that's what I was thinking
funny. I love that.
Wait, let's do the arms again. Are you getting tingling? I'm getting tingling.
I want to live.
But that's what he's doing. He's raising his hands just like we were.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe never mind.
So there does seem to be some power left to be felt in these places, but it's minor compared to what it used to be. And it actually gets worse with this whole overcrowding thing. I have another story told to me directly from a source in the know that speaks to the state of the energy flow in the Sedona area in more recent times. This is a story which, as I recall, happened in the late aughts or 2000s, depending on how you want to call it. And I was told the story just a few years later, after the happening, by someone connected to the whole event. The story goes, one of the senior elders of the First Nation tribal councils of the Canadian provinces heard the legend of the Sedona Vortexes and decided he wanted to check them out firsthand. When the Sedona Board of Tourism heard about it, they went gaga over the press they could get from such a visit. So there was a trip planned, a fancy property acquired for his stay, an itinerary of a few days put together to show this revered member of the Northern First Nations what the magic and majesty of Sedona was all about. The day the great elder arrived, he checked into the luxury mansion in the morning, said he'd be back, ignoring his handler's itineraries and demands, and wandered barefoot into the famous Red Rock landscape of Sedona.
Good for him.
Which is exactly what I would do.
Yeah, exactly.
I like this guy
and
already.
the barefoot is you as well.
Oh, yeah. He returned as the sun was nearing the western horizon and began to regather the few things he had unpacked earlier. When asked what he was doing, he said, leaving.
Wow.
When asked why, he replied that the valley was full of stagnating negative energy shed by the countless people moving through the area every day, and that no one should sleep there.
Wow. We talk about that's crazy.
He then gathered his entourage and left and never came back.
Wow.
That's the state of things in Sedona now.
I mean,
far we have come.
I honestly don't blame him, I guess.
Yeah, that's the feel he got from the place.
Yeah.
So we've turned what you would have compared to like the natural spring energy of the place, and we've clogged it up with all our negativity and turned it into a stagnant swamp.
But did he try the brown ale? I mean, if you sit out on that patio, just saying.
But the beer's good.
The beer's good. And that seasonal saison.
But yeah, that's another little piece of the local oral tradition right there.
Yeah.
That kind of makes me sad.
Yeah,
I'm sad.
and I don't doubt that I would imagine he's not wrong.
Yeah. But
still a beautiful place.
Yeah. Oh, and it's totally worth seeing.
Yeah.
Just see, like, without the energy thing, the metaphysical side of Sedona, it really is just a beautiful place. Like, and it's so unique. It's so worth seeing. And the coolest hike up to the top of Cathedral Rock to the end of trail sign. Mm. That's like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
It's the only, like, the place with the crowds in Sedona place that I will 100%, you have to go do that.
Yeah.
Go hike up to the top of Cathedral Rock. It's the coolest thing to do in Sedona.
How far did we get when we went? I don't think we went all the way up.
Did we not?
Maybe.
I've been to Cathedral Rock so many times, and it depends on who I'm with and what time of day and weather and blah, blah, blah.
But again, that's a
always
vortex,
go up,
and Bell's a vortex, and Airport Loop. Those are the three that hit all the time. Nothing. I can't even tell you how little. And like I said, I feel like that guy. I feel like, wow, that was a little New Jersey smoggy for me. I agree with him.
New Jersey smoggy.
But the one I never been to, that was the dueling Portal Guardians.
Yeah.
We felt something, and that is more important to me now that we've said it out loud here. And based on, I didn't talk about Portal Guardians back then. I talk about them now, based on my research, and it actually became something meaningful later. So the download makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it really kind of does, doesn't it?
It does. Crazily, yes.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to do some UFO stories to finish it off. This is getting long, though.
Well, save them.
Should I save them?
Save them. I think that's good. That was good.
I will hold on to those UFO stories for a later time, because there are many more UFO episodes coming in the future for Monster Lore Tour, I am sure.
And if you or a loved one have been abducted by a dongo.
A dongo stole my baby. I'm sorry, Mr. Dongo. I'm going to give him some more Mad Cujos.
Damn boy! Are we still trying to avoid a lawsuit with this guy?
It's just, I mean, once you say it, you can't get it out of your brain. We can have him on for an interview or something. Is he still around? I don't even know.
He's at Coast to Coast AM recently.
Recently?
Yeah.
Okay. If he's still active in the public.
Only connection back to this that I remember, yeah.
I will see if I can find info to hit him up, maybe. Hey, Mr. Dongo, if you're out there, I'm sorry for all the jokes, but hit us up, monsterloretour@gmail.com. We'd love to have you on. Anything to add or subvert before we go here, Mark?
I do not. Thank you for that, though. That was a good trip down memory lane.
Yeah, that was cool. I'm glad we got to tell that story. All right, well, that does it for the side trail. Our members at patreon.com/monsterlore tour get to listen to this right after they listen to the main episode because they all come out together and early before public release. If you're listening in the general public, this will be out in the side trail compilation to follow this block of episodes. All right. My brain's shutting down. This has been a very long recording session, so I'm going to get us out of here. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
We need to get back to that energy of that vortex right now.
I need a recharge at the vortex.
Exactly. Just put a 9-volt between the terminals between your tongue, and it's get that little sizzling effect.
Tastes like a penny. Wakes you up in the morning.
Exactly.
And on that note, let's get the hell out of here. To all my fellow paranerdalists listening in the realms of the weird, stay groovy, baby. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Side Trail 68 of the Monster Lore Tour Paranormal Deep Dives from the Edge of Nowhere podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Carr, here along with my co-host and the guy who can tell you how to get to Sesame Street, the Moz. How we doing, Moz?
No complaints.
So we teased this side trail a little bit, a couple times in the episode. There was a Big Bird Snuffleupagus mention at the beginning. There was a Kermit mention later.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very Muppety sort of side trail, I guess, huh?
Yeah, we're shifting from frog lore and Kermit towards the cryptid of that group, the Snuffleupagus.
Ooh, yes, the imaginary Snuffleupagus. He's like a lowercase I in mathematics. He's totally imaginary.
No.
Wasn't he Big Bird's imaginary friend for ever?
Okay, we're gonna this is what about today. But
okay.
And what is imaginary? You know, like what is the meaning of it is? Like, didn't Clinton do something like that when he was being busted?
Is the meaning of is.
What is the meaning of is?
Yeah. What does
is mean? Yeah. But the following information on the Snuffleupagus of Sesame Street fame is true. I leave it to you, listener, to decide the ultimate significance of my findings, as usual. We're going to start off with a definition of Snuffleupagus. If you go to dictionary.com, they have one.
Really?
The Snuffleupagus resembles a shaggy brown elephant or mammoth without tusks and usually long eyelashes. I guess sometimes Trichotillomania, he's like pulling it out because I guess he appeared sometimes without those eyelashes, or they lost him in a drawer. It's like, I can't find the eyelashes.
Huh.
But the character is so large that 2 puppeteers were required to portray him. Despite his size, Snuffleupagus is shy and sensitive, but also gentle and kind. He has been compared to Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh in personality. His fanciful name apparently draws on Snuffle for his trunk, and elaborate-seeming dinosaur or animal names like Diplodocus or Hippopotamus that Ugus at the end. That from Snuffleupagus Origin and History, dictionary.com. But he has this nickname Snuffy, too. I don't want to forget about that. And snuff is obviously a reference to tobacco spirit, integral to many Native American shamanic rituals.
Here we go.
I wanted to...
Yeah, the tobacco. Yeah.
The Snuffleupagus, Jeremy, cryptid or cryptoid? Be prepared to defend your answer.
Oh, man. So, I am going to say cryptoid, actually. Because no one who has seen him, he knows actually what he is. He's like a Tigger. There's only one. But also,
Arthur Dent.
In my mind, he is Big Bird's imaginary friend, which would make him not actually a physical being, more of an ethereal, transmorphic energy being sort of thing, which to me is a cryptoid, not a cryptid.
Yeah. He lives in a cave, which is, again, shamanic.
Yeah.
And he emerges from a cave, which is, again, part of the shamanic ritual. You're not wrong. I think cryptoid, if you have to choose between throwing a net over this thing or not, definitely on the cryptoid side of things.
Yeah.
We define it as cryptid, something you throw a net over that's just an unknown species, to cryptoid, something more shapeshiftery, has this kind of being a power, this ethical shapeshiftery component to it, this aspect off, this chimericiness, this can't physically exist really.
Yeah, the sort of magic portal-y sort of feel to it.
Right. Like countless other monsters, though, there's always something off. I think in this case, it's just freakishly large eyelashes, which again appear in some and not in others. He also has the power of invisibility. In at least one episode, he flies.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yep. He does.
Snuffleupagus flies?
There's one episode, he kind of, it's more of a transportation thing maybe going on there.
Wow.
But he can shape.
He was he a southbound pachyderm?
A southbound pachyderm. There you go. I don't know which direct cardinal point he was.
Sorry, that's a
towards.
Primus thing. Primus thing. Yeah. No.
Yeah. But can he shapeshift into something else?
Oh.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm going to say no because I don't remember him ever doing so, but it makes me feel like he can.
Maybe he did, and we don't know.
Are you gaslighting Snuffleupagus right now?
No, this gets important. I've reviewed the historical documents, Jeremy. But of note, there are two ways the Hensonites have spelled Snuffleupagus in the past. It actually does show up in two different spellings, which is interesting. One with eyelashes, one without. Maybe this is the male and the female.
Oh.
Snuff and Snuhf upagus and Snuffleupagus. I'm not going to spell them, but this is similar.
Lupagus and Luphagus.
Yes.
P
exactly.
and F, and a little bit different. I gotcha.
Yep. And this is similar to the Nagual. They have the Nahili and the Nawal and the Nawadal. So that you've got this, again, a similarity where you have these different types of spelling.
Yeah, and the male and female. That's an interesting thing. Okay.
And there's a bit of an Aztec connection, potentially. His first name is Aloysius, you might not be aware.
Really?
Yes.
Aloysius Snuffleupagus?
Correct. And here is the etymology. It was a proper name, means masculine from medieval Latin Aloysius, from Old French Louis, see Louis, masculine proper name from French Louis, from Old French Louis, Loois, probably via medieval Latin Ludovicus, a Latinized version of High German Ludwig, literally famous in war. And that from Aloysius etymology, and that's in the show notes. But the Snuffleupagus is therefore a what? If he is famous in war.
He's there for a battle.
He's a war elephant.
Yeah, he's a war god.
Why would a giant yellow bird, a big bird if you will, conjure a war elephant to the otherwise peaceful backdrop of Sesame Street?
Whoa, because he's a fire demon that wants to destroy and eat everybody?
I'm really just messing with you right now. I'm just going to keep going. This is going to become apparent to you, though. Don't worry. I know I'm leading you along, and you're struggling, and it's okay.
I'm going down the darkest road on this right now.
You are, and that's where we're actually going to go to the fields of the Battle of Pelennor, the Battle of Minas Tirith itself. The Haradrim rode Oliphants, the giant war elephants, for the armies of Sauron. Such beasts were on the side of the orcs. Hannibal also rode them when sacking Carthage, among other places. Such war elephants are traditionally associated with the dark forces in any given conflict. Elephantus etymology from Old English connects the archaic word for elephant to the word ivory, yet the Snuffleupagus has no tusks. So he is therefore a not-alepagus, a darker manifestation of the elephant. Who is the Aikla or Yek? Who is the master between the big bird and the Snuffleupagus?
Oh, Big Bird, obviously.
Yes. Big Thunderbird.
Yeah, the Thunderbird.
Or the woolly cryptid.
He's yellow. He's a firebird.
He's yellow. According to MuppetFandom.com, only 3 characters other than the Big Bird ever recognize the Snuffleupagus before he is revealed to the community. That from Simon Salmon, Muppet Wiki Fandom, will be in the show notes. So you know the 3? Do you know? Do you have a guess?
Oh,
Which 3, other than Big Bird, first encountered the Snuffleupagus?
I know I saw at least 1 or 2 of these back in the day, but I can't actually remember. I'm going to say, let's see. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to think of which characters on Sesame Street are the most shamanic. Ernie? Did Ernie see him?
Bert did.
Bert did?
Yeah.
I was so close.
Yeah, you would think Ernie.
I
Bert's
would've
a
thought Ernie.
Scully Muggle. We're going to get to why we're still right with Bert as being a Scully Muggle in a moment.
Okay. And there were two others.
Yes. Think liminal being also in Sesame Street. Something that's between.
Oscar.
Yeah, he's between. He's not the right answer, but that's
He moves between realms.
Yeah, between the underworld of the garbage
Yeah,
and out through his can into the into the streets of Sesame Street.
He's definitely the portal guardian to the underworld on Sesame Street, right?
The four beings or inhabitants of Sesame Street who have seen this is Big Bird, Bert the Count, and Simon the Sound Man. For those not
Simon the Sound Man.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, he's just one of the kind of bit part guys that show up, but he had an episode where he kind of shows up and sees it.
Oh, and the Count. He's a vampire. So
That's the one I was going for.
like
That's the
in
one
that
that was
realm.
gettable. That was one of the good episodes. For those not familiar with the cast, Bert of Ernie and Bert fame is like a proto-Squidward character with the power of blandness. Again, from Muppet fandom, here's Bert's encounter. It happened in episode 0612, 1974, kind of premiered. This quote, after Bert suffers from amnesia, he's temporarily cured after being trampled by Snuffy. Realizing for the moment that he has his memory back, he converses with Snuff as a familiar friend and discusses the things he remembers from his life. After a second trampling, Bert loses his memory again. Total altered state of consciousness. More importantly, though,
He gets trampled?
yes,
by the-
he gets bumped into when he's talking to Snuffy. He gets bumped into again. This thing tramples him again, and he forgets.
Whoa.
This is the first account of a Snuffleupagus attack. So this is the first time.
Yeah, I didn't know there was ever
Yeah.
such a thing.
Yeah. Second sighting, the Count. The Count tries to cure the creature of the hiccups. There's no mention of why the Count can see the beast. Through self-disclosure, the Count is a vampire, a nocturnal shapeshifter, blood-sucking fiend, so some liminal character balancing between life and death would likely be able to interact with such creatures.
That makes sense to me, theoretically.
Yes.
Theoretically.
Yeah. And side note, should you be attacked by the Count, if you throw some rice in front of him, he will go, 1, 2, 3 grains of rice, mwah, ha, 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 and you can, while he's counting, you can escape. This is a similar vampire creature trope across the globe, by the way. It also matches Muppet theme, I am sure. Final sighting, the last one, Simon Soundman, and this guy sees and acknowledges the creature in episode 0543, which aired in 1973. Remember, this is nearly a decade before the rest of the community can see him. Simon Soundman is a Sesame Street character who has the ability to mimic any sound he hears. He is a mimic, an unnatural blue mimic in a terribly shoddy suit and hat. These are three characters that see him prior to his actual full manifestation, and they are all to varying degrees Scissorers, except Bert, who gets the flashy thingy and then doesn't remember the event. He gets a version of the flashy thingy from Men in Black.
Right.
I think there was an argument to be made that Snuffleupagus...
Well, he gets banged in the head. And
that's that version of the flashy.
And then he can see him,
Yeah.
but then he gets banged in the head again and can't. So it's
Correct.
really him changing his mind state.
Yes. But it's the flashy thingy because he's made
Sure.
to forget.
Sure.
It's a variation. But I think this is an argument to be made that Snuffleupagus is a thought form. Many seasons later, this thought form is fully materialized, and the entire community witnesses the crypto reveal party in the season premiere of season 17, air date November 18th, 1985. I found no connections to volcanic eruptions when this occurred. Back to your Gloucester Sea Serpent thing.
So in 1985, does that mean the Snuffleupagus/Snuffleupagus went from cryptoid to cryptid because then all of a sudden it had a real form recognized by the community rather than this thing that only a few could see and wasn't really well defined?
Well, I think any djinn worth its salt too can become a human, and they're more human-like. But I think this thing can continue to transform back and forth between that. I don't think it's now on this planet fully that you could throw. If you threw a net over something like this, it could generally revert back to its shape-shifting. It's not going to forget how to do that and disappear on you.
Right, okay.
Here's my theory, though. Big Bird, aided by those 3 darker entities, those 3 aforementioned characters, created a tulpa. Other people on Sesame Street, having heard of this creature, start to see him until eventually, through a focused tribal energy, the community manifests this beast from the depth of their own dark collective shadow. Sesame Street is too nice on the surface. There has to be something truly terrible lurking in their collective unconscious to create this thing that is an effort to balance the dark and the light. Oscar the Grouch is part of that, but he is not enough. He is not enough. To every Mr. Hooper, every nice person, there's something wrong with that place, obviously.
It's like when Sauron gave the elves their 3 rings in order to raise the orcs and make the other rings.
Yeah.
Or you can look at it as Big Bird gathered his 3, making him the 4, which then became the 1 of Snuffleupagus.
Dang, you just portal guardian me. Dang.
And I'm out. I dropped the mic, but it's too expensive.
Wow. Maybe we just got to end now. Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. No, I think that's interesting. The 3 of the 4 back to the 1.
Yeah.
It just came back in the episode
Big
we
Bird.
did before this one.
Yeah.
Yours. At Bradshaw Ranch, we faced a portal together, and we felt the only vortex anomaly together at the same 3 of the 4.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
Season 2 has been
interesting, yeah.
An interesting time here at MLT, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
since we started that Owl Week, man.
Yeah, we set off our course in a direction.
Yeah.
We'll see where that leads.
Just getting weird around here.
But the story of Big Bird and his totem, the Snuffleupagus, is not just a story of tulpomancy. It mimics the story of the Golem of Prague from Jewish folklore. A monster conjured to defend the community from a great evil. A creature conjured to defend the neighborhood. But this guardian is ultimately uncontrollable, at least back to the Golem of Prague, and endangers those who have summoned it for protection, ends up killing those.
It's a pumpkin head sort of thing.
Right. But is Snuffy a ticking cryptozoological time bomb? He's the seemingly docile. Is this just a front? I mean, it's kind of almost like a Black Sabbath Iron Man thing. Well, kill the people he once saved. Oh. Is the mafia protecting Sesame Street is another piece of this. I mean, what caused them to have to bring Snuffleupagus to fight the evil? You know, there's no, is Snuffleupagus meant to aid the community to fend off some outside threat? We never know exactly where Sesame Street is located. And if neighboring hoods are falling into a more gang-like and crime-ridden area, is this the outside threat?
Was he warding off the nothing from the never-ending story, maybe, because he's an imaginary creature?
Yeah, the big fluffy, another big fluffy imaginary beastie.
Maybe Big Bird was helping by gathering his 3, making himself the 4, and then becoming the one that is Snuffleupagus in order to protect Sesame Street from the nothing that was coming to destroy them all.
And you've got possible lineage when you talk about, who created whom. When you talk
There's Muppets involved, isn't there?
There's a lot of Muppet.
It's all Jim Henson, man. He's the real shaman here, isn't he?
Yes, and it seems a little Loki when you start having these creatures that should not be then interacting and having other offspring that should also not be.
Yeah, the thing that should not be.
Yeah, another Roger Corman film, I'm sure. So I ask, who was Snuffleupagus conjured to protect? Did he succeed in his mission or not? And finally, I have an Guano component to this.
Oh, I thought the whole thing was an Guano component.
No, this is important work. What if, I have a theory, Rakshasas from Indian mythos are these furry humanoid creatures that have no business having tusks, but they do. Snuffleupagus that should have tusks, but they don't. Is this a dichotomous pair of complementary cryptids? Example, like, the Hoykle have the deer and the wolf. The day people are all the deer people and the wolf people go off into the woods. Remember that one? Yeah, or Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca, where we have this good brother, bad brother thing. Is this the pair of complementary cryptids? Is this creature both as like a Janus-faced, two-faced kind of being? Is Snuffleupagus like a Jekyll and Hyde character, where he's docile creature in the day, but shapeshifts into a man-eating Rakshasa counterpart at night?
You never do see him at night, I don't think. It's always daytime when they're showing the show, right? Is it ever nighttime on Sesame Street? It must be.
We don't get the nighttime.
I mean,
we don't get that flavor of what goes on there when the lights go down.
Yeah, like you see Bert and Ernie bedding down, and like you see people inside at night.
Yeah,
but I don't remember like outdoor night scenes really. Maybe sitting on the stoop, but
maybe. I honestly, I think the nighttime Sesame Street may be a completely different world, run by a Rakshasa who's actually the Snuffleupagus by day.
This is another movie that needs to get made right now.
And who should we question? If we wanted to find out the information, we go into Sesame Street, you and I show up at that corner by Mr. Hooper's little grocery cart there. Mm-hmm. Who should we question first? Now, there's two. I think there's two right answers.
Oscar the Grouch sees everything that goes on.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, that's really good, but it's not what I was thinking.
Yeah. The homeless guys know everything. You know what I mean?
I'm not arguing with you there. I'm actually not arguing with you there. Maybe you start with Oscar. You're right. Yep. I'm going to add that. We start with Oscar the Grouch. Who's going to get us answers?
I got more for you. The Count, obviously, is a vampire.
He is a vampire. Yeah.
I do feel like there's someone else. Is there a taxi driver on Sesame Street? Because the taxi drivers know everything like the homeless guys.
What does a yellow light mean? We talked about this.
What does a yellow bird mean?
What does a yellow bird mean? Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. I can't come up with
one. Big Bird might be the one to question. And I think, though, for the Count...
At night? You think he's a night bird?
No, I just think that he is actually the yak.
Oh, he just knows.
Snuffleupagus. So he is the help. The Snuffleupagus is the helper spirit of Big Bird. So I think he would be the one to question. You're right. You start with Oscar and get the lay of the land. No argument. Yep. And then here's the thing, though. When you're interviewing the Count, I think follow all safety protocols because this is a vampire. Have rice handy so you can do that rice throwing thing so you can sneak off.
You kind of jumped by it earlier. You did say it and kept going, but I never thought of that. That is actually part of the vampire mythos. If you throw a bunch of stuff on the ground like that, they actually are compelled to stop and count it.
It's an OCD component to vampirism. The Count matches that with his always stopping to count everything. He kind of follows that meme. Now we talk about...
That never clicked for me before. I can't believe I never put that together in my brain, that he's really like a vampire in that way, that he counts everything.
But we see him during the day. What is he doing at night? What is Big Bird at night? What does the Snuffleupagus turn into at night?
Oh, yeah, because the Count turns into a bat. Big Bird maybe turns into a more normal-sized bird, starts flying around. And when you said Snuffleupagus flew at one point.
I think he's a Rakshasa.
So
I'm standing by my theme that the tusks come out at night.
Ooh.
So there's no tusks during the day, and he's docile. Mr. Hyde comes out, the tusks come out, and he's a Rakshasa.
What if he's a Manangal, and the tusks come out, and then his head detaches and just flies away with his guts hanging out?
Yeah, that's an image that really... did we do the warning for children for this one? We always forget. Dang it.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah. Well, that's what I got. So I think it's I think it's kind of topomantic. I think it's Galmapragi. I think it's a Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll, Two-Face thing. I think there's a component that's Rakshasa-y at night. That's my guess.
The Manangal is part 2 of our Filipino folklore series, 48 episodes 48 and 49.
Yeah. So it would be eating human flesh at night, and I think that's the thing kids need to remember about the Snuffleupagus. That's not. It doesn't show up in Snuffleupagus.com.
Do you think Big Bird rides him like a war elephant?
I think I think that's a little too much information for these kids.
Like a war elephant, I said.
Yeah.
Anywho,
back to Minas Tirith.
I love that. Snuffleupagus was always my favorite.
He's a war elephant, and he's a Rakshasa, and he's kind of Galmapragi.
See, you told me you were going to ruin Snuffleupagus for me. This actually made him cooler.
Yeah,
to me,
he's cooler.
As long as my Manangal part isn't true.
Yeah,
the rest of it is actually pretty cool. He's actually way more badass than I ever thought. If that's how you want to look at him.
There's no bat part, but that's the Count.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
So where does Elmo fit in?
Nowhere, thankfully. Well, let's never speak of him again.
Fair enough. Let's get out of here then. Thanks everybody for coming. This is going to be in the compilation at some point for the public, but our listeners our members at patreon.com/monsterlore get to hear it as soon as the episode comes out, like a month or so ahead of time usually. Moz?
And today's broadcast was brought to you by the letters M and L and T.
Nice.
And the numbers, I don't know.
And the number 68, because this is Side Trail 68 of the Monster Lore Tour.
Nice.
Paranormal Deep Dives from the Edge of Nowhere podcast. And we'll see you in the next one, everybody. To all our fellow paranerdalists out there, thank you very much for listening. Until the next time, stay groovy, baby.
I've had enough of your Snuffleupagus.
Oh, I can Lupagus all day, my friend. I can Lupagus all day.
The Lupagus guru, yeah.
Shut